It all started on a bright Saturday morning. Birds chirping, sun glinting off the lake, and me sitting on the porch of my old log cabin, sipping black coffee. Peace, quiet, the kind of stillness you earn after decades of hard work. Until Karen showed up. She arrived in a spotless white SUV with HOA president emblazoned on her clipboard like it was a royal title. She stepped out, sunglasses flashing, and marched up my gravel path as if she owned the place. "Good morning," I said politely. "Can I help you?" She looked around at my cabin, my dock, the acres of forest behind me, then gave me that tight, judgmental smile only an HOA Karen can muster. "Yes, you can," she said sharply. "You're trespassing on community property. You'll need to vacate by this afternoon." I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "This lake and the surrounding lots," she said, tapping her clipboard, "are under the jurisdiction of the Lakeside Meadows Homeowners Association. Your structure is non-compliant." I set my coffee down slowly. "Ma'am, this cabin's been here since before your HOA existed. My grandfather built it in 1953. "Well," she sniffed, "it wasn't grandfathered in." She actually laughed at her own joke. Then, she had the nerve to point at my American flag and say, "That's also not an approved display." That was the moment I realized she didn't just want control. She wanted confrontation. Now, I'm not a man who likes to brag. I retired from the military, invested in land, and kept to myself. But one thing I do have is paperwork, a lot of it. I tried to keep calm. "Karen, this cabin is on my land. You might want to double-check your maps before you start making demands." "Oh, I already have," she said, tapping her iPad. "According to our records, this entire section, the lakefront, the dock, and even that boat, fall under HOA maintenance." That's when I smiled. "Is that so?" She smirked. "Yes, so if you could be gone by sundown, that'd be great. We're hosting a community barbecue tomorrow and your structure doesn't fit the aesthetic." I stood up slowly. "Well, Karen, I think you're in for a surprise." 2 hours later, I was sitting at the county clerk's office, which, fun fact, I helped build back in the day. The clerk, old friend of mine named Roger, chuckled when I told him what happened. "She tried to evict you?" he said. "Oh, she's gonna regret that." He reached into the archives and pulled out a thick binder. Original deeds, surveyor's maps, zoning records, and ownership filings. I flipped to the page I needed. There it was. My grandfather's land patent, signed in 1953, with full rights to the lake, the surrounding forest, and all adjoining land within a 12-mile radius. In simpler terms, not only did I own the cabin, I owned the entire lake, and every house around it, including Karen's. The next morning, Karen showed up again, this time with 2 police officers in tow. She must have called 911 claiming I was an intruder. The cops walked up calmly. "Sir, we received a complaint from the HOA that you're refusing to leave private property." I smiled. "Officers, I think we can clear this up real quick." I handed them a copy of my deed. They looked at it, then at Karen, then back at me. Ma'am," one officer said carefully, "this document shows he owns the property." Karen's smile twitched. "That's impossible. He's just some old squatter." The second officer sighed. "Ma'am, this says he owns the entire tract, the one that includes your HOA subdivision." Karen blinked. I don't understand." "Oh, I think you do," I said. "You've been charging people fees for using my land. Every yard sale, every boat launch, every community event. All of it." She stammered. That can't be true." I gestured to the officers. "Gentlemen, would you like to see something funny?" I pulled up the county map on my phone, zoomed out, and pointed at the boundary line. The HOA's entire community was outlined within my property. The officers looked at each other, trying not to laugh. "Ma'am," one said, "you may want to speak to a lawyer before you make any more demands." Karen left fuming, red-faced, muttering something about legal action. 3 days later, a certified letter arrived at her HOA office from me. It read, "Notice of trespass and unauthorized Use all Lakeside Meadows properties, reside within private land under my legal ownership. Effective immediately, HOA activities, dues collection, and enforcement actions are suspended pending review. Continued interference will result in legal and financial penalties. The next time you want to use my lake, send me a rental request first. Signed, Michael Hayes, landowner. Within a week, half the HOA board resigned. The rest panicked when they learned their common areas. The clubhouse, the park, even their fancy gated entrance, sat squarely on my soil. I didn't evict anyone. I'm not that cruel. But I did lease the land back to them, at a modest price of $2,500 per month. Every time Karen drove past my cabin after that, she'd glare daggers. But she couldn't say a word, because every inch of ground under her wheels belonged to me. So now, when I sit on my porch with my morning coffee, I look across the lake, at the rows of houses and the HOA sign that now reads, in small print at the bottom, land managed under lease by M. Hayes Holdings, LLC. Sometimes I wave when Karen drives by. She never waves back. And that's fine, because out here on my lake, on my land, the only rules that matter are mine.